I've always said that the Polestar 2 is one of my favourite electric cars. It's stylish, brilliant to drive, and it just feels sorted. So when Polestar said that they were making the 3, their first big SUV, my ears pricked up. Bigger, more luxurious and more powerful, but also heavier, more expensive, and up against some serious competition. The big question is, does the 3 live up to the magic of the 2? And more importantly, can it actually impress me? Today I'm driving the long-range dual-motor version to find out, and I'll be seeing if Sweden's sleekest new SUV can tempt you away from competition from BMW, Audi and even their very own Volvo. Hi guys, my name's Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK. In today's video I'll be telling you everything you need to know about the Polestar 3. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching, and if you like new car reviews and car content, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Firstly, however, I mentioned that I'm driving the long-range dual-motor car. So how many and how different are the configurations of the Polestar 3? The Polestar 3 comes in 3 main versions, all using the same 111 kilowatt-hour battery, but tuned for different priorities. The long-range single motor is a rear-wheel drive with 299 horsepower and 490 newton-meters of torque. That gives it a 0 to 62 time of 7.8 seconds, and the longest WLTP range of up to 706 kilometers, around 439 miles. It's the most efficient option, ideal for those who want maximum distance over outright pace. The long-range dual motor adds a second motor for all-wheel drive, and it bumps power to a whopping 489 horsepower, paired together with 840 newton-meters of torque, cutting the 0 to 62 sprint to just 5 seconds, and offering a still hefty range of up to 395 miles. For those chasing even more performance, the dual motor performance pack tunes things up to 517 horsepower and 910 newton meters, hitting that same sprint in just 4.7 seconds, though range drops to 352 miles. All versions support rapid DC charging, have towing capacity of up to 2,200 kilograms, and share the same premium tech-focused interior. The Polestar 3 reminds me of a Scandinavian sofa. You have clean lines, minimal fuss, and just enough flair to make you want one without shouting, "Look at me." And despite it being pretty understated in its design, I love some key design details, including the new updated Thor's hammer headlamps. You also have those headlamps mirrored in a gloss black piece of detailing, which is connected by this thin black gloss strip. And instead of a grille, you have a neat smart zone panel that hides the sensors. You also have a gloss black lower bumper and a real aero feature, which includes this carved out bonnet scoop. But this isn't just for design or to make it look slightly aggressive. This actually serves to cool the battery and the brakes, meaning that you can push on pretty hard in your Polestar 3. Its elongated wheelbase gives it this long, elegant look, and there's some design details that I love around the side. The first has got to be the frameless door mirrors. Say what you like about frameless door mirrors, but I think they look so elegant and simplistic. It also features that classic Polestar trait of having the power and the battery side on the side of the car. Now, this might not be important to everybody and most people won't know what it means, but it's a nice little reminder that you've got a car with 360 kilowatts of power, and it's only you that really needs to know that. I also love the door handles as well. I don't always like pop-out door handles, but Polestar have done a very good job at them. They're so tactile to use, and as you approach the car, they pop open, and every single time, in my opinion. To close them, you simply just swipe across the door handle and then that will close it. And then once again, if you want to open it up, you literally just put your hand near it and it opens. It feels very high quality. But what about the interior? My loyal followers who have watched this channel for a long time will already know what I'm going to say about this interior. I absolutely love it. I always think that the Swedes, they get interior so spot on, and the interior of the 3 is just as nice of all the Volvos and the Polestar 2 that I've recently driven. In fact, it's probably a little bit elevated, as you'd hope with the price point. There's a clever little features in here which I'm going to talk about, but let's speak about the seats, because these are really interesting. They caught my eye as soon as I stepped inside of the 3 because they're not white, they're almost an off cream, which is quite strange to see nowadays. And then I noticed that there was something written on them. So here this says 100% traced leather. So this is animal welfare secured. It's real Napa leather, but they've been conscious of where it's come from, and I really love that. And I know lots of people on this channel, when I talk about the fact that I quite like vegan leather, or of course many people say it's called pleather or plastic, I quite like it. I don't like sitting on animal product if I don't have to. But these I can actually appreciate, because you get that high quality Napa leather, but you know it's come from somewhere which has been thought about, which I really like. The colour, I'm not quite sold on it. I would have liked a grey. I'm not sure on this kind of like off beige. It's a little bit in between white and beige. There's some really nice materials found elsewhere in the cabin. You've got wood effect across the dashboard. You've got this nice kind of high quality fabric which just wraps the top of the dash and all the doors, and using those squidgy soft materials means it soaks up so much noise. This car is near silent when you're driving it. You get the massive touchscreen in the centre here, and this is so quick. It runs a Google system, so it means that you get built-in Google Maps, and also you get the voice activation, the Google Assistant. It's really, really good. I never ever really attach my Apple CarPlay and Android Auto when I get in here, because you just don't need to. You have everything right here. You also always have climate controls at the bottom, which is good. I would have actually liked some physical dials, but I do like the fact that they're always down there. You haven't got to go hunting around in the touchscreen. The layout is lovely as well. These seats are really figure hugging. They're also electrically adjusted, and you have this just one toggle to do it, which I find quite fancy. Centre console, everything you need right there. You've got your wireless charging pad, you've got your volume control, you've got 2 cup holders, and then you've got loads of storage inside that armrest, and you've got loads of storage underneath. Here's one of my favourite features, however. You've got 2 USB-C charge points down here, nothing unusual there, but you've got a little panel. So pull this out and it's almost like a little secret storage device for your charging cables, which I absolutely love. It keeps them neat and tucked away when you don't want them on show. Right, here's the interesting bit. For a car that weighs just over 2.6 tonnes, the Polestar 3 is surprisingly agile. The dual motors give you a smooth, instant surge of power, and you're never left waiting for it to wake up. Overtakes are effortless, and it just feels confident on the road. But that's kind of what I was expecting from this car. The air suspension also deserves a bit of credit too. It soaks up rough roads really well, especially on the motorway. Yet it keeps things tight and controlled when you chuck it into a corner. That being said, you do feel the weight, but it never feels clumsy. It's elegant in a way. Steering is precise and nicely weighted, and in sportier modes, it gains a bit of heft. It's also not as playful as smaller SUVs, but compare it to things like the BMW iX, and it does feel a touch more connected to the road. Now, it's not all perfect. Hit a sharp pothole and you will know about it, especially with the bigger wheels. The brakes, while strong, they can be a little bit grabby at lower speeds, and whilst it's quick, that 489 brake horsepower is delivered in a very smooth, measured way. So if you was expecting neck-snapping drama, this isn't that kind of car, but personally, I like that. It might not wow thrill seekers, but I think it's the perfect combination of power, but also easy to drive. The one thing that I don't like, however, and I'm going to be very picky, it's the steering wheel. The steering wheel itself is absolutely fine, but it's the buttons, or lack thereof. And when I say lack thereof buttons, I mean it in the Polestar 3, because there's nothing on them. They're just blank displays. Of course, you need to read the manual or watch a YouTube video, which should tell you, not this one. I'm not going to tell you what they do, because you know what? I've got no idea. But I do know you just kind of swipe your finger across them. No? Maybe if I go into drive and do it? I have no idea what it does. Maybe you have to change what it does, I don't know, but okay, one's voice command, which seems a little bit pointless, and then I can't get anything else to work around them. Just really annoying, actually. I really wish they'd just put some, even labelled them. I don't mind it being touch sensitive, but just label them. It doesn't need to be that simplistic. They've gone a little bit too far with that. But that really is being picky. Everything else is absolutely beautiful. It's so high quality. It feels so minimal and very, very luxurious. I also love that you've got this huge panoramic sunroof, which just pours light in, and that also just makes it feel very serene and calming. It's a lovely car to be inside of, apart from those buttons. When checking efficiency, I was a little bit perplexed. The Polestar 3 measures its efficiency in kilowatt hours per 100 miles, rather than miles per kilowatt hour. It's also not on your main front screen either, so it takes a little bit of mental maths. Or in my case, you ask ChatGPT. But over the last charge, I've driven nearly 5 hours. I've covered 150 miles, and that's a mix of hilly B roads. I've done some stints on the motorways, and the car shows 30.1 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. That works out about 3.32 mile per kilowatt hour, which at first I didn't think seemed right, because coming home last night, the range barely dropped. But I am comparing this to smaller cars with smaller batteries, lower range. And whilst it's not the 5 that I was hoping to see on the screen, 3 to 4 miles per kilowatt hour for a big, powerful SUV is actually about the same figure that you'll see in most comparable rivals. If you're not completely up to date with your Polestar models, you may be wondering, Tish, what's the key difference between the 3 and the 4? And I'll be honest, I don't actually particularly know, despite actually driving both of them. But one thing I do know is this one's got a rear window, and they make a real point of it as well. That's something which is heavily criticised in the 4. No rear window, you just have a camera. But here, you've got a nice square rear window, and you've got like a proper old school rear wiper. They've not even tried to tuck it underneath the spoiler or anything like that. It's really like they're making a point of it. You've actually got quite a prominent spoiler at the rear, and you have a rear light bar which expands the whole rear of the car. So far, the big jump up in price doesn't really feel that apparent compared to the Polestar 2. And then you get in the back and you realise this. Yeah, this is where that extra money's going. It is so comfortable. I have got masses of space in the back, loads and loads of leg room, and even if you did have much longer legs than me, you can tuck your feet underneath the seats in front. You've also got loads of amenities, including heated seats in the rear and access to your own climate control. It's got tri-zone climate, which apparently is becoming a bit of a rarity nowadays. Not many cars that I've driven recently, although I know I don't go too much into the premium, but they haven't had rear climate, so it's really nice to see it. You also still get that really high quality leather that you get in the front seats. You've got a pull down armrest which features this little pop out panel, and this just has this embossing on it, and it just feels lovely. It feels very executive actually in the back here. It definitely feels like a car you could easily chauffeur someone around in, or be chauffeured around in. The Polestar 3 offers a generous 484 litres of boot space with the rear seats in place, which actually expands to 1,411 litres when they're folded flat. The wide square opening and low load lip make it easy to get larger items inside the boot, whilst the powered tailgate, which is standard across the range, definitely adds convenience. There's also a small 32 litre frunk, which is handy for storing things like your charging cables or basically items that you don't want rolling around in the back. There's practical touches like bag hooks, tie down points and underfloor storage, which feels very Volvo. And they also help keep things organised. The only thing I think is a negative is there's only a 40-60 rear bench split, which isn't always the most practical. It would have been nice in a car this size and this price point to have 3 individual folding seats. That being said, however, it does have a ski hatch to load in longer items when you need to. The Polestar 3 feels like a proper evolution of everything that I already adored about the Polestar 2. It's refined, it's beautifully designed, and it's also pretty easy to live with. But now it gets proper space and some real long distance comfort. It's not perfect, those sharper bumps definitely do go through, and the brakes need a little gentle touch at low speeds, and it's not quite as playful as some might hope with that power, but as an all-rounder, well, it's seriously impressive. And as for me, yes, it has impressed me, not in a loud, in-your-face way, but in a quiet, confident, very Swedish kind of way. I really hope you've enjoyed this video today, guys. Let me know, what do you think of the Polestar 3? Pop it in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, then you're in the right place. Make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification to never miss another video on this channel, also Social UK. I've been Tish, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, see you later.